it!
No! It's all I've got!
There you go. See you at the top.
Hello everybody out there today. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Emmett Watkins Jr., also known as EJ Spun61 on all different places on the internet. And we're going to be starting a series here on this channel that I'm kind of excited about. Of course, as you know, well, hopefully you know, if you've never met me, then you're about to find out. But I am a massive Kendrick Lamar fan. I am a very, very, very big Kendrick Lamar fan. One of my straight up, he is my favorite rapper, probably one of my favorite artists, if not just outright my favorite artist in music. And I love him a lot. So he's coming back with a new album for the first time in a long time, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, that is coming out in a little less than a week from today. And I decided I'm going to go ahead and record a review for every single studio album Kendrick Lamar has released in the time since he's been out. Pretty much all of his studio albums. If you look back into my channel history, I did make a review for Damn back when that dropped. That was around the time when I was first starting to do stuff on this channel really regularly. So if you want to see my thoughts on Damn, you can go back and check out that video. My thoughts have maybe changed slightly since then, but I still think it's, you know, pretty good. But in any case, we're starting here today with Overly Dedicated. We're going to be talking about Overly Dedicated, and if everything goes right, I got gameplay of a very strange game, I'm sure. If you looked at my Damn review, I played some obscure game that doesn't even have servers up anymore called Drawn to Death. So I said, let's play obscure games for all these reviews in the spirit of that original one. So we're going to be recording all the studio albums that I haven't recorded on this channel yet. So we're starting with Overly Dedicated. Then we're going to be doing Section 80. Then we're going to be doing Good Kid, Mad City. Then To Pimp a Butterfly. And then I think we're also going to be doing Untitled Unmastered. And then finally, I believe finally, we're going to be doing the Black Panther project, even though that's not a strictly Kendrick Lamar album, but you know, might be fun to do. The plan is to do 6 total in this week leading up to the album release, so if everything goes right, then all those will come out. If not, then this will be recorded in a different order or this will be put out in a different order, so time will tell on that one. But that's enough of prelude here. Let's go ahead and talk about Overly Dedicated here. Now this is an album right here, right now. We are in the era of Kendrick before I knew who he was. I'm gonna tell you right now, me, like many people, I found out about Kendrick around the time where Good Kid, Mad City came out. That is my first Kendrick album, and that's the first time I was, you know, interested in him and turned on to him. And so we'll talk about that album later, but needless to say, Kendrick did a lot of artistic growth and a lot of artistic maturing to get him to the point that he was on Good Kid, Mad City. And you can still feel the kinks being knocked out of the system with Overly Dedicated. We're going to be doing a track by track breakdown like I do for all these songs or all these albums. And it's going to lead to the video being longer, but hey, that's how I like it. God damn it. So yeah, Overly Dedicated. It's very flawed. You can see the things that I would like Kendrick Lamar for later on in his life. You can see the things that he would be known for, the things that make him iconic. Those things are found on this album, but it's inconsistent and it's a little bit try hard, and you can kind of feel that. And to start off, before we even get to the first song, this album cover, good God, this album cover is so try hard in my opinion. You know, yes, you have this young lady with it looks like either a cotton ball for a head, or it's not a dandelion, but I'm going to just say a cotton ball for a head. So it's like, it's like, okay, you're doing some really, not like, oh, this is the strangest thing I've ever seen, but some strange, like, artistic symbolism type stuff. You're doing something there, and it's like you're trying to make capital letter art with that statement already, and then the background is just filled with a bunch of images of a bunch of different famous people that we would know. Bruce Lee, Michael Jackson, Jimi Hendrix, ODB, Old Dirty Bastard. Just a bunch of like iconic figures from history that I guess Kendrick is either seeing himself in or feeling like these are other people that are also overly dedicated to a fault. And I respect that. I see the comparison you're making there. And in hindsight, yes, Kendrick is probably, as far as like an icon in not just music but in pop culture in general, he is definitely earned a spot among these people. But like, it feels so weird to be saying that about yourself in what, 2011 when this came out, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 2011 this came out, and then it was Section 80 in 2012, and then 2013 is when he popped off with Good Kid, Mad City. So yeah, it's just very strange. Actually, no, this came out 2010, so even earlier. Yeah, it feels weird for him to make this comparison of himself so early on. I mean, hey, he was a prophet in that respect, but this project specifically is not a project that earns him a spot up there, which is why it feels like a weird comparison to make. But in any case, let's go ahead and get onto the track by track breakdown. Now, I did make some notes here. A lot of these videos I just get on here and just talk, but I did make some notes here because I want to have it a little bit more guided, so it's not just me rambling on forever. So yeah, I actually wrote notes down because I listened to this whole thing at work and just wrote on physical paper. So shout out to B being old school. Anyway, first track, Growing Apart to Get Closer. I like how this track starts. It kind of has like this, kind of feels like it's performed live, like you're at like a jazz lounge or something like that. And I think that is the vibe Kendrick was going for here. But overall, it's a very low-key, pretty brief intro. I will say I love Janine Enko. I always say her name wrong, or at least fear that I'm saying her name wrong, because I said it really wrong for a long time. So now whenever I say her name, I'm super self-conscious about it. But Janine, I'm just going to say, I feel like I say her last name wrong. Janine, great vocals on here. She always comes through with the vocals on any project she does, pretty much. And she's always a nice voice to hear. So love her on this track. And Kenny's voice sounds so like, I don't know if it's vocal fry or what. Homeboy sounds like he just woke up, which is maybe kind of the point. I think he's maybe trying to sound more like raw and emotional on this track, which I can understand that intent. But it makes it sound a little bit less like certain, a little bit less sure, a little bit less confident on this first track. And as far as like bars and such, there's not too many bars that I freak out about on this track. It's just a very like low key, very like, we're just introducing things here. We're starting with a simmer rather than flames instantly. And so, you know, it's a fine track. It's not anything that is gonna blow my head to introduce the album with. But he gets a lot better with intros as we get on to his later albums. So hold on to that one. We'll come back to that in later videos, I'm sure. And so the next track here, Ignorance is Bliss. Now this one, I'm kind of torn on. The beat is the main thing that makes me torn on this. The beat sounds conflicted because it's like it's trying to go hard. It has these hard boom bap drums in the background, but it's also sampling this like violin or just string based musical sample, and it feels like the beat is going back and forth from like, oh, it's hard, but now it's chill, but now it's hard, but now it's chill. And it feels like it's bouncing back and forth. And it kind of, because it's bouncing back and forth, it tries to stick into a middle ground there where you don't get either flavors completely. So you're kind of stuck in this fog of fuzz of just hazy otherworldness. Like you're kind of in limbo with the beat. And Kendrick's doing his damnedest to try and like make this song hard. I feel like because of the beat being so conflicting, you're having to ride the flow of Kendrick himself rather than the beat and the vibe of the beat itself. So it's really hard to kind of like catch the vibe right. Now Kendrick flows pretty well on here. I like his flow. I like some of his bars. I really like a line where he said, "I'm so Cal, you so called." I think that's incredible. I like that line a lot. It might be a little bit cheap, and also I feel like someone's probably said that in a past life or something. But goddamn, that bar hit really hard. You know, Southern California versus so-called. Like, I'm not gonna explain the whole bar. It's a good bar. You should know what it means. But yeah, there aren't too many like bars that blow my head up with this track. Overall, it's really that beat. That beat is just so like back and forth, like it's just, it's not even that it's too much. It feels like they should have just picked the lane when they made this beat. So, you know, that's my biggest critique with it. And yeah, from there we'll go on to the next song, which actually I've made a lot more notes on this one. Pussy and Patron 1.5, or P&P is what they call the track originally. But I forgot about this track, to be honest, because I've heard this album before. Even though this isn't the album I started Kendrick with, I've gone back and listened to it before. This song I really like, and I like part of it more than the other parts of it. Basically at the beginning, where it has that very chill I was about to sing Ignorance is Bliss again, my bad. But Pussy Patron, I like that first instrumental because there is an instrumental switch that happens halfway through the song. That first instrumental is incredible. I love that beat. I love that flow. I love that vibe. It kind of gives me, it is not the same sounding song at all, but it feels like it hits a similar vibe to Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. But I feel like there's more here. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe feels like a song where lyrically it's so minimal that it's hard for me to like get into it to the same degree that others do. But Pussy and Patron, that first section, that first verse or so, I think that is so great. I really think he like nails it with the flow, nails it with the chorus. I think it's incredible. And then they kind of ruin it. I really feel like oh, also real quick before I even get to that next part of the song, Homeboy makes a reference to the BlackBerry and that being like a cool phone or device to have. Made me feel old as fuck. Like this song came out 12 years ago at this point, almost 12 years ago. And that's back when BlackBerries were the thing to have. So like, Jesus Christ. And what, iPhones came on the scene a couple years earlier, but BlackBerries were still cool. Especially Obama had one, and that was a big deal back in the day. It was just so weird to hear him flaunt about a BlackBerry. Anywho, yeah, that beat switch really fucks up the momentum. That's my main beef with this song. Now it's a double-edged sword because while I don't like the beat switch, I do wish that they just kept with that original beat the entire song. I think Kendrick and Ab-Soul, who was featured on here, I think they write this new beat well. I think they do complement this new beat. So the song isn't completely ruined for me. But it just fucks with me, man. It just fucks with the momentum. I'm over here chilling and vibing in one pocket, and then it goes into a completely different pocket that's a little bit less chill, a little bit more hype. But I wish it was a separate song so I could get more of the vibe of that original song. So that's my main beef. Like I said, the flow is great on that second beat. And like I said, Ab-Soul comes through. But god damn it, man, just give me that first beat. That's all I fucking want. And also I peeped the Jay-Z reference where he makes a reference to the Give It To Me song with him and Pharrell. I think that was pretty dope. But yeah, it's a good song, but I've already said my qualms with it. After that, we get to the next track, which is Alien Girl. Parentheses, Today With Her. I think this song is fucking trash. And it's a double-edged sword once again, because this is Kendrick. I feel like this is Kendrick trying to shoot for a song that will hit with a wider audience, but it feels so obvious. It feels so artificial. It feels like it doesn't feel like Kendrick's whole heart and soul is in this track. Maybe the message of it is, but like this song sounds like a early Kid Cudi song. Like he's trying to ape the Kid Cudi sound, but he's not as good as Kid Cudi is with that type of sound, if that makes any sense. I really don't like it. This is the kind of song that plays in the club in Blade 2 is what I wrote in my notes. Like it definitely feels like that type of like kind of weird techno poppy type of rap song. But still like trying to be all soft and sweet and have like the chill lo-fi vibes that a Kid Cudi would bring. It's just weird. And I wrote also in my notes, this song would scare the hoes. I feel like this song would scare the hoes. I don't know that for certain, because lyrically, like, you know, Kendrick's not necessarily talking about some crazy, like, I'm bringing guns to the party or whatever type shit. Like, he's not saying some horrible stuff. Like, lyrically, I think this would apply to I think this would appeal to, you know, women listening to music. But just the instrumentation is just off in a way where I can't quite put my finger on it, except to say that it seems like it's trying to pull from other people's musical stylings without really honing those musical stylings. So yeah, not a fan of Alien Girl. Do not love that track at all. But it's all good because the next track is very, very good in my opinion. Opposites Attract, parentheses Tomorrow Without Her. I love this song. This song is so like Parable-like. It's like, it's a very obvious song. Like, it's not the deepest song in the world. It's kind of like, it's painting a picture, but it's a very realistic painting. There's no abstraction. There's no like, oh, what could this photo, what do these colors mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? Nah, like it paints a picture, and it's a pretty like obvious standard picture, but he paints it very well. You know, Kendrick's flow is excellent on this song. I think the beat is very good. The beat kind of gives me like a, not a reminiscent vibe, but it gives me the vibe of like, this is gonna be a weird reference, but, and plus I don't need to use just this movie, but this happens in a lot of like dramas in general. But specifically what I'm thinking of, those straight to DVD Barbie movies that they would put on Nickelodeon on Sunday afternoons sometimes. And there would always inevitably be a fight where Barbie and one of her friends get into a big fight and they blah, 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 argue it out. And then there's like this montage where they're not talking to each other. They're deleting each other out of their flip phones. And they're just like having the montage where they're like, we're no longer friends and our lives are different because we're not friends anymore. You know the vibe I'm talking about. That's what the instrumentation on this track gives me. And it's like a very somber type vibe, which I think is appropriate for the subject matter. Of course, if you haven't heard Opposites Attract, which I hope you heard the album if you're listening to this fucking video. But it's basically talking about like, you know, we hate people that love us, love people that hate us, hate people that love us, love people that hate us. That's the hook. And that's what the verses portray, where it's a woman talking about how this man is doing everything for her, how she treats her mother well, how he treats her well, how he's doing all this stuff for her. And she just can't get over it. She's like, this is why I cheat on you, because you're treating me too well. And it confuses her. And then the flip side is this woman who's treating her man just incredibly and just wants nothing but the best for him, and has all the love in her heart for him, despite the fact that he's always hanging out with his friends, just ignoring her for every single outing, and he puts his hands on her and all that stuff. You know, talking about that dichotomy where, you know, we as human beings, we might like to think we're the most rational animals in the world, but we sure don't often act rationally. So yeah, Opposites Attract overall, one of my favorite songs on this album. I think the lyrical substance is a 10 out of 10. I think the hook is very catchy. I think it's great. This is the type of Kendrick Lamar that would go on to make, you know, your Good Kid, Mad Cities, your To Pimp a Butterfly. And honestly, I really do feel like this is the fraction of Kendrick that would make To Pimp a Butterfly. Like, this is the type of artistic vision that I see from him in an album like that. And it's cool to see a seed of it planted all the way back in 2010 with this track right here. I think this is the type of song that made people turn their heads to him. And yeah, it's easily, if not the best track on here, it's one of the best tracks on here. So yeah, I love it a whole lot. So yeah, from there, we go on to an entirely different type of track. This fucking song, it's kind of growing on me. I'm not gonna lie, because I've listened to the song in the past a handful of times, I will admit. So it's not like the first time I'm being exposed to it. But this next track, Michael Jordan featuring Schoolboy Q, it's the least Kendrick Lamar track I've ever heard. It's because like Kendrick has hopped on a bunch of like songs that I don't necessarily see him on. He's done songs with fucking what's her name, Taylor Swift. He's done songs with, you know, all types of pop artists, you know, you can talk about. He made a song with fucking Robin Thicke back when he was popping. You know, he's done a lot of songs. He's made a lot of music. And even in his mixtape days, like I haven't heard every Kendrick Lamar mixtape. I'm a big fan, but I can only go so deep down the rabbit hole. Perhaps that's another series. Perhaps when the next album comes out, I'll review all the mixtapes if those are still available online. But in this context, Michael Jordan sounds like Kendrick's trying to put himself into a box that he does not fit in. And not that he's bigger than the box, it's just that it's not the right shape for him. Michael Jordan sounds like a track that's trying to sound like a Soulja Boy song. It's trying to sound like something out of Atlanta trap era, like some Young Jeezy, some like early like Players Circle era 2 Chains. Like, excuse me, I got some gas coming up. My apologies. But yeah, Michael Jordan just sounds like he's trying to get on some hype beast. Like, this is the type of shit that they're gonna bounce in the club to. It just don't hit, and it feels like he's really trying to force himself into like that type of sound, and it does not fit at all. I wrote it in my notes. This is a Soulja Boy ass beat. Like, I could easily see Soulja Boy on a song like this featuring Lil Bow Wow or some bullshit. Yeah, he just sounds so out of place on the track to the point where it's kind of funny. It's a little bit ridiculous that this song exists at all. So like, whenever you hear Kendrick Lamar rapping and stuff, it's like you are not about this vibe at all in real life, or at least I don't believe it. I don't believe that you're about this vibe. So for you to be making a song like this is just hilarious. Like, him pausing the track to be like, "Don't worry," and like trying to have like a little accent thing where he has like a little catchphrase type thing. Like, nah, Kendrick, that's not who you are. You're not the type to be like, to have like a catchphrase. Like, get the fuck out of here. Now, here's what I will say. Schoolboy Q on this beat, he fits pretty well. I feel like this should have been a Schoolboy Q featuring Kendrick song. I would believe it a lot more. Schoolboy Q, I'm not saying that he even fully meshes with like that type of Atlanta trap sound either, but I feel his vibe better on this song. I like his flow better on this song. I feel like he has the swagger the more closely aligned with the swagger of this track. So I'll say Schoolboy Q's verse I actually like pretty well, except for the whole part. Another one from my notes. Schoolboy Q, his bars are messy as fuck in here, and not messy as in the delivery. Just like, he's talking about like, we took your girl and we did her done. They told me Mary was a ghost, so we took her round and round. Like, they're running a train on this girl, and that's a little fucked. But like, I guess literally, but that's a little fucked. But like, yeah, a lot of rap songs are very sexually aggressive, if not outright misogynistic. So this falls in line with that type of stuff. And also, this is like almost 12 years ago, like I said. So I can only be so mad about it. But like, goddamn, when I heard that, I'm like, shit, that's a little, I don't know if you can play that in the club now, because that's just some, like, people gonna be looking around like, what the fuck did he just say? And the last thing I'll say about this song, the whole pussy crazy thing, like making that a common refrain in the second verse from Kendrick and the end of Schoolboy's verse, so fucking corny. Like, the pussy crazy, that pussy crazy. Like, come on now, you pussy's crazy. Like, it's so lame. It's so fucking lame. It comes off as lame. And Schoolboy saying the pussy crazy thing felt like he was trying to meet Kendrick in that corny pocket that he made for himself. And I don't think Schoolboy Q fits with that. I think Schoolboy Q could have kept with his verses normal. They didn't have to make this whole pussy crazy thing a thing. So don't love that. Michael Jordan is such a fucking cringe fest, but hey man, Kendrick, he needs to be able to feel out these new pockets, feel out these types of songs to see what he's gonna make in the future. So can't be too mad about it. But it is one of those songs where like I listen to it somewhat. Sometimes I'll get the craving for it and I'll listen to it. But like, I know at the end of the day, this song's fucking trash. But it is very novel in the ways that it is trash. So, that's not worth nothing. So there we go on that one. Excuse me. So yeah. So the next song we have on here is R.O.T.C. Right on time conscious is what that means, and I did not think that's what it meant until I heard the song for the first time years ago. But it's a little bit corny. Anyway, this song I actually like pretty well. I think the beat is good. The beat kind of has like a guitar riffy thing where it kind of gives it the vibe of what I wrote in my notes here. This beat is good, but it sounds a little outdated. Where, yes, this entire album is from 2010, so it's gonna be outdated in some respects, so I gotta give it some slack there. But this beat specifically sounds like it's like Airplanes from B.O.B. You know, the song with Haley Williams had the remix with Eminem on it. Like, it has that vibe to it, and I don't love that. it makes the song sound a little bit kind of, once again, like I said earlier with the Michael Jordan thing, or less with the Michael Jordan thing. This is more of an Alien Girl type of critique. It feels like he's trying to find the market for himself, find the audience for himself. And this song just is not quite what I would want from Kendrick, or instrumentally, because like I said, his words are good. I think his flow is good. Does he have like a lot of crazy lines in this one? Not particularly. I think he's just painting a pretty basic picture. But I think the flow is good. It's just this beat is very like, would you believe that airplanes in a night? Like, I could see a Skylar Grey on this fucking beat fairly easily, which I think is bad for Kendrick. I say that as an Eminem fan. Like, I understand what that means, but I don't think Kendrick vibes with that. So that's my main thing. R.O.T.C, it's a decent song. And it's also an interlude, so it's not even like a main chorus per se, but it just doesn't fully match with what I see Kendrick as. And also towards the end, BJ the Chicago Kid, his feature on here, his voice is always great, you know, similar to Janine. I think he always comes through with the feature. I think he always sounds great, but his singing does not match up with the beat that they chose. It feels like BJ the Chicago Kid gave Kendrick a sample to use on a song, just gave him like a part of his voice to put over any beat that he wanted. And then the beat that they ended up choosing for this song did not match that vocal sample. And it's very obvious. It feels like BJ the Chicago Kid is just singing without listening to the song he's singing over. And it's just bad. Like, that's just outright bad. He sounds nice, but it just doesn't feel like it fits right. So, you know, he doesn't belong on a beat, and that's my main critique on R.O.T.C. And also Right on Time Conscious. Like, I get that's an appropriate name for the song considering what he's rapping about, rapping about, making how he's almost about to make the wrong decision until he gets the opportunity to make the wrong decision, and then right as he's about to go through it, he decides, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I get that. That's fine, but it's on the nose, and it's also like R.O.T.C makes you think about, if you're anything like me, the army program that they have in high school. Like, that's what I was thinking. So I was wondering, like, how is this going to connect to that? And it doesn't at all. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I had an expectation set, and he just completely threw it away, which isn't really a big problem, but a small critique I have for that song. So anyway, let's move on to this next song. Barbed Wire. I adore this song. This song, I said earlier that Opposites Attract is probably my favorite song on here. Or I'll say it like this. Opposites Attract is the best song on the album. Barbed Wire is probably my favorite song on the album. Now, this does have a little bit of corniness with it. With Ash Riser, who I have no clue who the fuck Ash Riser is. He's on this album. He's on Section 80. I have no clue who the fuck that is. But his presence on this song does give a little bit of cornball to the track. But I love the energy of this song. The energy on this song matches some features that Kendrick has done and some songs that he's done, where it's just like very energetic, very uplifting, very like, I can take on the world. That's the vibe that I get from this song. A similar vibe, or another song that has a similar vibe to this from Kendrick. There's a song called Pay For It featuring J-Rock. I think that song is incredible, and Kendrick kind of brings similar energy to both songs. And so Barbed Wire is really good. Like I said, I love the energy of this track. I'm reading from the notes, of course. Let me see. There's a baby daddy line that he makes in the track. I don't have the lyrics up. Let me look up the Barbed Wire lyrics while I'm thinking about it. Barbed Wire, Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, I gotta find these lyrics so I can find that baby mama line, because I wrote down baby mama line is crazy, then I didn't write down the fucking line. So good for me. Let's see. Baby. Hood rat trashy, 6 baby daddies, and this baby daddy is new to the family. Love that flow. I thought that flow was great because he had just switched it up from a different rhyme scheme right before that. Oh man, whenever that hits, I'm like, you're fucking, like, he knows he's sliding. He knows he's sliding on this beat, and it just makes me so excited whenever I see that. So yeah, I love that part of the song. Excuse me to open back my notes up. Let's see. Oh yeah, feels triumphant, the illegal. Yeah, that's one thing. And that's another reason why I feel like this song is kind of a little bit corny. where this is I wrote this in my notes, it's the legal hustler anthem, where the entire song, the first part of the song is about how, you know, a guy is gang banging and stuff and living that street life and how it's rough. And then a woman is talking about how she's having to sell her body and that's how she's making it through the world, and that's rough. And then at the end, they both clean themselves up and make a living with more legitimate means. And then, but at the end of the day, their peers and the, you know, people, family that they still hang around with, they look at them and they say, oh, you must have sold your soul to get that money. Like, they'll never legitimately, you know, accept that you were able to make it without playing the same game that they played. And so, you know, it's a fun song, you know, Barbed Wire referring to the obstacles that you're going to have to climb no matter what. Even if you get it the hard way or the easy way, there's always going to be obstacles in your path no matter what. So, you know, it's a good song for that. But it's a little bit corny at the end because it feels like, you know, Kendrick is not necessarily talking down to folks who have to live the hard life, have to get it the dirty way. But it just feels like he's putting so much glory and refinement on, oh, you don't have to suck a dick every day for $1. Like, hallelujah. It's like, all right, buddy, it comes off as a little bit preachy and just a little bit corny in a way where I'm like, when I'm listening to it, I'm not really having a problem with it too much, but like I get self-conscious about it if I'm listening to this track with someone else, if I'm showing it to somebody, or after I'm listening to the song, I think about it for a split second and I'm like, yeah, that is a little like self-righteous, I suppose. But in any case, Barbed Wire, one of my favorite songs on this album, probably my favorite track outright. It's the one that I listen to most often from this album. And yeah, it's very, very good. Then the next track we have is Average Joe. And this fucking song, you want to talk about corny? This is corny. Just lyrically, it's corny. Like, he has some good bars and stuff, but like the shit he's talking about, it comes off as cornball. I'm sorry. Now, I will say, this is a Dr. Dre ass beat. Now, I'm not saying Dr. Dre necessarily produced it himself, but it does have that vibe of a Dr. Dre produced track. It gives vibes of like 2001 Chronic, maybe not the original Chronic, but definitely 2001 Chronic. It gives that type of vibe to it, and it knocks pretty hard. And the beat alone, I think, is pretty good. But Kendrick just comes off as like a kid trying to box above his own weight on this song. Now, like I said, the beat makes it hard, but the lines are just like make you just slight cringe, just a little slight cringe. I will say the second verse is way less corny, where the first verse feels like he's trying to bolster himself up a little bit in a way that doesn't feel authentic. The second verse feels a little bit more autobiographical and feels like it's coming from a more personal place. Feels like it's coming from a more personal place. So I really appreciate that. And honestly, this would be a really good final song. Like, this is the type of song where, you know, similar to Lemonade, where Formation was the final track on that, the Beyonce album, which I also did a video of, so you can check that out. Similar to that, I feel like it would have been really nice to have this song end it because it is more of a banger. And I feel like, especially with the chorus here, where it's like, I'm just an average Joe, like it kind of like rides out very well. Like, it's a very good kind of ride off into the sunset type song, at least from my perspective. I think it would really fit that way. But there's 2 more songs, actually 3 more songs after this, if you include the remix that we're about to talk about here. But yeah, I think the song is fine. It's not like great. I'm not sitting here itching to listen to it, but I think it is iconic. I think this type of song is what made people, I guess, look at Kendrick as someone different in the rap game. Like, he was not afraid to be like, hey, I'm not necessarily, I'm not like this thug dude. I'm not catching bodies. I'm not like about that street life, but I grew up in it. Like, I grew up in this environment. I have stories to tell. I have a perspective that is informed by that. And I think that's what made, you know, not just folks like me who didn't really live that life completely either. I think it also made for all the people who did live that hard life to kind of accept him a little bit more and, you know, get people like Snoop Dogg to pass the torch to him a little bit easily rather than, oh, I came from the suburbs completely. Like, that slashes his street cred a lot if you're starting with that hindrance. But yeah, Average Joe, decent track, but not my favorite on here at all. Then we go on to H.O.C. I I gotta be honest, I am not entirely sure what H.O.C means in this song. He probably said it within the track, but me talking about it right now on this commentary, do not remember for the life of me. So I'm just gonna talk about it. H.O.C, I feel like oh, first off, I'll say this real quick. A lot of acronyms on this album, a lot of like double meanings and trying to like look deeper into shit. Chill with the fucking acronyms. We're good. You can stop. It's fine. Like, stop. So yeah, it is what it is on here. So there's some lines that I like on here, just to go through some of them. I go in studio sessions feeling like a nerd because I'm the only one that's not smoking herb. Like, that's fun. Like, I kind of relate to that feeling where, you know, you're around the clique, you're vibing with the clique and they're vibing with you, but you can't help but feel that little bit of self-consciousness, because I'm also someone who, not necessarily that I don't smoke, but I just rather not, just because I've never felt in a situation where I'm comfortable with it, especially considering that it is not legal where I'm at. So I just don't want to interact with anything because I'm already a black man. So that's one strike here in Georgia already. So yeah, I've never done it. So I often feel a little bit, not inadequate, but just, you know, like a cornball when I'm around certain folks who are all about that life. And you know, I drink also, but I am not a drinker. I very rarely drink. It's just something I'll do if I want to, which is very, very rare. So I'm also in that bucket as well. So I totally feel that line when he says that. And in the chorus here, H.O.C is kind of, the song overall is trying to be like this weed smoker song. It's trying to have that, like, the type of beat that you light a blunt to, like those old school like Kush and OJ type vibes to this, like a Wiz Khalifa type of beat where it's very chill, very melodic, very like laid back. And I don't know if Kendrick is meant for this. Like, I'll say Kendrick doesn't completely, it's not like another Michael Jordan. Like, he fits with the beat, it's okay, but it feels like a disingenuous song because literally the chorus is like, I don't even smoke, and it comes off corny. And what I wrote in my notes, it comes off corny in the same way that at the end of Logic's In the Kabadu song, he just yells, I smoke weed, ha, and it's like, all right, buddy, cool, cool, you smoke weed, great. And this is like a similar feeling, but the inverse also, where Ken just like, I don't even smoke, and this is how I am. I can make a weed song, and I don't even smoke. I'm unlocking all these parts of my mind, and I don't even smoke. It feels like a cocky, braggy thing, but I don't think he means it entirely that way. It just comes off that way in this song, and I wouldn't have put that as the chorus. I would have, like, maybe that's a line or something you put somewhere. But as a chorus, it just kind of, you hear it once and it grades just a little bit. But as you keep hearing it in the chorus repeated, it's like, all right, we get it. All right, we get it. All right, we get it. So don't really love that. I will say one of the last lines in the song, I'll let you inhale like an atheist, like when you're passing a blunt around, inhale, and then you get let into hell like an atheist would because they don't believe. I thought that was a great bar. I think that was awesome. And there's a couple of great bars on here, including that one. But like I said, this song overall, when I'm thinking about like a weed song, like, first off, there aren't many weed tracks that I'm like dying to listen to. Like, I like that 1995 track off of the Dreamville Revenge of the Dreamers 3. I like that song a lot, but there aren't many like Pass the Blunt tracks that I'm like super excited about. So I'm not looking forward to listening to this one a million times in the future. But, you know, Kendrick has to try out his style, has to try out his flow, has to see if he can fit on these different types of songs. So I find that admirable. So, you know, I'll give a shout out to that. Yeah, it's just, I can't get over you're trying to make a weed song without smoking weed. Like, that's hilarious to me. I'm sorry, I just can't get over that. But hey, it is what it is there. And then we have the penultimate song on this album. Really, if you think about it, this is the final song. This is like the final song of it. And then the last song is kind of a credits rolling song where it's a little bit more hype and all that stuff. But Cut You Off, parentheses, to Grow Closer. This one, it feels like a filler track. That's the thing. Like, yeah, the beat isn't bad. Like, nothing about the song is a garbage fire. Nothing about the song is ultra cringe. But it just feels like it's just whatever. Like it feels like he didn't know how to end the album and just recorded this real quick and thought it was gonna have vibes of like the final song vibes of like, you know, Kanye has done this in his earlier albums where his final track is just him like talking a bunch of shit at the end. J. Cole's been known to do this on Forest Hills Drive as well. Like, you know, that type of vibe. It doesn't have that vibe. And the whole like kind of chorus thing, like I like the idea of the song where it's like, yo, people, you always come around me and you're talking shit, so I'm gonna cut you off. All these like toxic people in his life he's cutting off. And I get that. That's a good thing to rap about. It's a good message, but it just doesn't come off as impactful. And for something that's trying to reach to be so artistic, so like larger than life, you know, you're invoking, once again, go back to your album cover. You're invoking ODB. You're invoking Michael Jackson. You're invoking all of these great legends. Yet you end your album in this very limp and kind of like anticlimactic way. It just doesn't hit. It's not great. So yeah, that I don't really love this song. That this whole you boo boo, you tea, you burnt down, you boo boo, like it comes off as childish. It comes off as like so immature, and I just don't love it. I just don't love it. Really, this song isn't, like I said, the song isn't horrible, but I just have so many nitpicks where it's like, man, it really brings down the quality of the thing overall. So yeah, cut you off. I was glad to cut it off when that song was over. But then we have the final song on the album, which is She Needs Me, the remix, featuring Murs and Dom Kennedy. Now, here's the thing. I've heard a handful of Dom Kennedy tracks, and I've heard a handful of Murs tracks. First off, I think it's fucking wild that A, both of them are on a song, B, both of them are on a Kendrick Lamar song, and C, that they don't not fit perfectly. Because Dom Kennedy, I think of him being on like the more turned up like big like OG Mackin, like I'm about to, you know, I see him on like the Pimp Daddy tracks, like on the, it can be a little bit slow paced, but I'm thinking of him on more of a hype track like Let's Party, I'm about to find me a honey and we about to find a room, like that type of stuff. That's why I expect Dom Kennedy on. And Murs, I think of him as being on like the boom bap shit. Like I said, I've only listened to a little bit of Murs here and there, but I imagine him on like the boom bap, like we're going in, we're lyrical miracle type shit. Like that's what I expect from both of them. And this song is solidly not quite that. Now I do feel like, since this is a remix of She Needs Me More, I feel like they changed the beat a little bit to more closely match the energy level of a Dom Kennedy and to give more of a boom bap vibe for a Murs. So it makes sense that they're able to fit on the beat a little bit more, but it's just weird that they're on here. And to think, like, I think of Dom Kennedy and Murs as like some lower key artists. Like I don't think of them as like being like these AAA like million selling artists, even though, you know, they're still very much so quality. But like, to think they're both on a Kendrick Lamar track, especially in hindsight. In hindsight, both these dudes on a Kendrick Lamar track, that's fucking wild. And you know, at the time in 2010, that was a glow up for Kendrick. Like Kendrick, that was a big deal for him probably, because Dom Kennedy, that's a well-respected legend. Murs, well-respected legend. So for Kendrick to get the time of day from them, probably a big deal. So I really respect that. And like I said, similar to the Lemonade comparison I made earlier, this is an end credit song. This is a little bit more upbeat, and you know, it's a decent ending to the song, or a decent ending to the album. And yeah, it's fine. I really don't have any problems with She Needs More. It's a perfectly competent song. I feel like Kendrick doesn't really stick out too much on here, because I'm still blown away by the fact that these other two dudes are on this track with him. But ultimately the song is fine. I don't think it's too bad. But overall, talking about this album just in its entirety, overly dedicated, there is a reason why this is my least favorite Kendrick Lamar album. Now, it isn't a dog shit album entirely. It is not completely awful in every way. That is so not the case. But when I think about this album, there's just so many nitpicks, like I've been talking about here for all these different tracks. So many nitpicks, so many like, what the fuck were they thinking choices here, so many weird choices here where there's like 2 great songs on here that I've talked about with Barbed Wire and Opposites Attract, but everything else on here is either a complete and utter train wreck or almost there to being a great song. And that is my problem with this album overall. It's almost there. Like there's peaks and there's brilliance poking out from behind the curtain here on this album, but it hasn't been fully exposed yet. I think in section 80 you will still find even more peaks of brilliance from behind the curtain here, but he's still figuring himself out. Yes, he's had several mixtapes at this point to hone his voice, and I think yes, he has honed his voice here, but you can see Kendrick like being pulled between how commercial do I want to go with my sound in order to find a bigger audience, or how much do I want to stick to my actual vibe, my actual tone, my actual feeling, and also what is my vibe, what is my tone, what is my aesthetic auditorily that I'm going to be sticking with as an artist. He's still very young at this point. I think how old is Kendrick Lamar? Actually, let me look this up before I talk out the side of my neck, because if Kendrick Lamar age, or I'm just going to type in Kendrick Lamar and I'll pop it up. Don't fail me now, internet. Homeboy is 34 right now. So he was about 23 when this album came out, maybe 23, 22. So he was very, very young when this album came out, still figuring himself out. Shit, I'm 27 and I still don't feel like I have myself completely figured out. So, you know, he's got a long career ahead of him at this point. He's still trying to figure a lot of things out. You could hear him trying to figure that shit out on this album. So, yeah, I don't really... What the fuck? Ooh, sorry. I was very scared. I was like, oh man. I typed in Kendrick Lamar and I saw a news headline pop up and I saw a video drop. It's a video from one of his artists on PG Lang. It's not from him himself. So I can breathe a little bit easier. But yeah, overall, this album's fine. I want to say 7 out of 10. I don't think it's a 7 out of 10. I think this is closer to like a 6 out of 10 in my opinion. It is a very solid like C flat, because there are so many of these songs are either flawed or just bad. So there's enough of that for me to not give this, you know, in the range of high marks at all. But it's okay. It is an alright album. I'd give it a 6 because there's so many flaws that it drags it down from being great. But there are moments of brilliance on here, like I said earlier. So that's all I got for you folks. So that's it for this review of Overly Dedicated. We're going to be back next time with, I believe, Section 80. I think that's the next one in sequential order. Planning on just putting these out back to back to back in the week leading up to the new album release. And I will say, when that new album drops, will I be making a video about it? I am not sure, but what I can guarantee is I will be writing a review for it on VGU.tv. That is the site that I write for. Recently, I put up a review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that movie, you can check there. And I did a Shadow Warrior 3 review a couple months back as well, or I think a month or two back at this point. But yeah, I write all my stuff there. I do podcasts there. That is where you can see a lot of my output on the internet from. So go ahead and follow me there. And also on Twitter, EJSpun61. That is my Twitter handle. You can go ahead and follow me there. I'll keep all the links to all this stuff will be in the description. And yeah, that's what I got for you on this one. I'll come back with Section 80 later on, and I'll see you in the next video. And as I always say, keep it real, keep it trill, and let's get big stepping in just a couple more days. All right, peace out, y'all.